Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Indrakant K Singh from Department of Zoology, Desbandhu College. Today, we will discussing a very important topic, which is cancer and environment, a health perspective. Before coming to the topic, I would like to give you the brief outline of today's talk. Firstly, we will talk about impact of environment and environmental factors on human health. Then we will move on to cancer and its causes and how cancer and environment are interlinked. And lastly, we will talk about how our lifestyle impact cancer risks. So the first part of my talk, that will be the impact of environment and environmental factors on human health. Environment and human health are intricately related. We need safe, healthy, and supportive environments for good health. The environment in which we live is a major determinant of our health and well-being. A good environment is an indicator of healthy human beings. Nowadays, polluted atmosphere has become a serious threat to the very existence of human species. Pollution growth and intensification of man's activities on various fronts like agricultural development, urbanization, and industrialization all over the world have created a hazardous environment. Therefore, it is important that we interpret health issues in a what you call in the wider context of our environment and where we live. Then comes question, what are those environmental factors? The environment, is under constant interference by human bound activities. The impact of environment on human health are generally accounted in following terms. Let's take one by one. The extent to which environmental condition led to shortening of life. For example, if I take one small example, air pollution. Air pollution shortens human life by more than a year. This is very recent study from a team of leading environmental engineers and public health researchers, and they say that better air quality could lead to a significant extension of lifespan around the globe or around the world. Second point, the extent to which environment induced disability or impairment is found. So, environmental factors make up the physical, social, or attitudinal environment in which people live and conduct their lives and influence the experience of disability both at body level. When you say body level, we are talking about function and structure component. And in terms of activities, they do, okay? And the areas of life in which they participate. And the third point I would like to tell you that the extent to which biological potential of an individual is reduced. Now, usually I know all of us know about what we mean the biological biotic potential, but let me define in one sentence. Biotic potential is defined as the maximum number of individuals a species can produce. Within recent years, humans have raced almost unconsciously towards their biotic potential as an ultra-modern, overpopulated, and cosmopolitan species. Now, one we may raise a question to ourselves: are we our own worst enemy? You know, all humankind have to answer this question to ourselves and to this universe. Okay, so let's talk about the the environmental factors which I have said. I will take one by one. First, we'll talk about overpopulation. So what are first? I'll let you know. The what are those factors? In front of your screen, you can see the first one: overpopulation. Second, pollution. Third, urbanization. And fourth, degradation of natural resources. So the population, if I take talk about the overpopulation, what is going to happen if what is going? We are already facing this problem across the globe, and specifically Asian region. These two major population contributing countries, India and China. The population extension is the most important cause of all the environmental problems. Pollution explosion has an array of negative impacts. It increases the pollution level, overexploitation of resources, and environmental degradation. So overpopulation and health are what we call inextricably linked. So when there is an overpopulation, the first point what we are facing is poverty. So poverty is both a cause and consequences of poor health. Infectious and neglected tropical diseases kills and weaken millions of the poorest and most marginalized communities each year. As the human population continues to explode finite natural resources such as fossil fuel, fresh water, arable lands, coral reefs, and frontier forests continues to plummet, which is placing competitive stress on the basic life-sustaining resources and leading to a diminished quality of life. Next, what I wanted to convey you is environmental degradation. Human beings are currently causing the environmental degradation, and greatest mass extinction of the species are happening. Overpopulation is also associated with negative environmental and economic outcomes ranging from the impact of overfarming, deforestation, and water pollution to eutrophication and, of course, global warming. So, do you know that the freshwater ecosystem have lost a greater proportion of their species and habitat than ecosystems on land or in the ocean, because as the human population grows, so will the problem of clean fresh water availability. Okay, so next I'll check a little bit more about the pollution component. Okay, so first in your screen you can see air pollution. Yes, we all are educated, we know about it, but still, we have to discuss these important issues. So, what do you mean by, air pollution? Any changes in the environment which directly or indirectly affects the welfare of the human being is called pollution, right? Mainly air pollution, soil pollution, water pollution, and solid waste pollution are of prime concern. Some other kind of pollutions, like nuclear hazards, also cause severe problems related to the health. And I know, being an Indian, we all knows what has happened just few years before. There are a lot of cases are reporting across the world because of the, this leakage of this radiation from the nuclear plants and etc. and other issues as well. Okay, so the one of our era's greatest sources is air pollution, which have its impact on public and individual health. There are many pollutants that are major factors in disease in humans. Among them, uh, what we say, the most important one, particulate matter. What is particulate matter? Particles of variables, but very small diameter that penetrates respiratory system via inhalation, and that will cause respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. Also, it will cause reproductive and central nervous system dysfunctions, and yes, cancer also. So exposure to air pollutants has also been linked to suppressed lungs growth, asthma, heart disease, fatal brain growth damage, and the onset of diabetes, nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide, volatile organic compounds, dioxins, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons are all considered air pollutants that are harmful to humankind. Carbon monoxide can also, or what we call the carbon dioxide, can even provoke direct poisoning when breathed in at high level. Heavy metals such as lead, when absorbed into the human body, can lead to direct poisoning or chronic intoxication depending on exposure. Okay, so diseases occurring uh, uh, from the aforementioned substance, including or principally respiratory problems such as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. In short, we say COPDs, asthma, bronchitis, and also lung cancer. So cardiovascular events, central nervous system dysfunction, and cutaneous diseases. Okay, so now we'll take about the another kind of a pollution that's called radioactive pollution. Okay, so radioactive pollution is the increase in natural background radiation emerging from activities of human beings involving the use of naturally occurring or artificially produced radioactive materials. Radioactive pollutions generally affects all living organisms due to the ionizing nuclear radiation emitted from them. Okay, so if a small dose of radioactive materials can affect all the living organisms seriously and impair their functions, whereas high doses of radioactive materials may prove fatal. Okay, so we have to take these issues very, very seriously. Prolonged and frequent exposure of a person to radioactive substance can cause serious diseases such as cancer and leukemia. Also induce mutations in the genes. And then the mutated genes produced by the effect of radioactive substances can persist in the bodies of human beings, animals, and plants that affect their progeny by inducing abnormalities. Okay, so now next type of pollution, what we call water pollution. We all know, about 70% of water bodies in the India are polluted. Majority of Indian rivers are dangerously polluted. We all know situation. We are in Delhi. We know situation of Yamuna river, and very much aware about the holy Gangas. The common pollutants are the industrial effluents, municipal wastes, agrochemicals, oil spills, etc. Okay, so about 60% waterborne diseases are reported in India. Imagine. It includes typhoids, cholera, bacillary and amoebic dysentery, diarrhea, and jaundice. And this present season, especially wherever there is a floods already because of the rainy season, floods are, many parts of our country is already flooded by the river like Kosi, Gandak, etc. in India. And there you will find all these diseases which I have mentioned right now, specifically typhoid, cholera, and this dysentery and diarrhea. It's very, very common health problems. Many waterborne infections diseases are linked with fecal pollution of water, so resources, and what we call the result in fecal oral route of infection. Health risk associated with polluted water includes different diseases such as respiratory disease, cancer, diarrheal disease, neurological disorders, and cardiovascular disease. Next, I will take up soil pollution. So, soil, we all know that soil is an important source of nutrients in our foods supply and medicines such as antibiotics. However, nutrient imbalances and presence of human pathogens in the soil biological community can cause negative effects on health. There are also many locations where various elements or chemical compounds are found in soil at toxic levels. Leukemia, example, kidney liver damage and nervous system damage are some long-term diseases caused by ingestion of contaminated food. So, the chemicals like pesticides, weedicides, insecticides, fungicides, etc., used in agriculture, food preservation, community health service, eh, you know, are harmful for human health. Most of the pesticides are mutagenic and carcinogenic. So mutagens can cause chromosomal aberrations and various kind of hereditary abnormalities. For example, I'll take one by one pesticides. Name of the pesticides: DDT, very old and everybody knows the name of this DDT. DDT causes hepatocarcinoma as well as leukemia and other diseases as well. You know, in many countries across the globe has already banned these pesticides, but India still we are using it. I don't know, there must have some restrictions, but still, practicality, what we say, still we are using. Malathion causes schizophrenia and depression. Still, we are using. Parathion causes muscular weakness and delayed paralysis. Dielrin causes insomnia. Dioxins causes reproductive and development problems, and also it damages immune system. In fact, there are many places it has been reported that because of dioxins, honeybee got a lot of bad impact on their population and their the reproduction, and ultimately what we call hampering the benefits from the honeybee, like obviously very important product, that honey. But besides that, there is also reports about dioxins that also, if honeybee health is not proper, then definitely they are one of the best pollinating agents in agriculture, okay, or in forestry. So now we talk about the second point what we have mentioned earlier, that is soil waste, okay, or hospital refuges, and the most important, industrial effluents. So discharge of industrial sludges or dumping of the industrial and municipal waste is the prime cause of land pollution. Such waste includes garbage, rubbish, hospital refuse, dead animals, agriculture waste, etc. So exposure to hazardous waste can affect human health. Improperly operated incineration plants cause air pollution, a spread of infectious disease, and improperly managed and designed landfill attracts all type of insects that again spread disease. So direct handling of solid waste also results in chronic diseases with the waste workers. Now, talk about hospital refuges are the source of various infectious disease, and these act as ideal home for disease carriers, or what we call vectors, like flies, insects, bugs, rodents, etc. You can talk about heavy metals. Heavy metals contaminated industrial effluents cause toxicities and various health problems such as fluorosis, Minamata disease, etc. As according to WHO, vector-borne diseases account for more than 17% of the infectious diseases and more than 1 million deaths annually. Therefore, a clean environment is the key for healthy living. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about degradation of natural resources. Okay, so loss of natural resources, adversely affects the quality of human life. For example, deforestation results in biodiversity loss because biodiversity is essential for maintaining the basic life supporting processes. According to a statement released by World Economic Forum, they say major biodiversity loss and ecosystem collapse, that includes obviously terrestrial and marine both, with irreversible consequences for the environments, resulting in severely depleted resources for humankind as well as industries. So, a growing body of scientific evidence shows that felling of tropical forests creates optimal condition for spreads of mosquito-borne scourges, including malaria, dengue. Okay, and primates and other animals are also spreading disease from cleared forest to people. So, as an expert also says, the coronavirus, what we are facing, or what we call COVID-19 pandemic, is likely a global effect of natural habitat destruction combined with effect of globalization. Okay, now when you talk about this, another important aspects we have to discuss. Specifically, now India have decided more than 100 modern city we are developing. Okay, so yes, urbanization. So increase in urbanization adversely affects the ecological balance. It is not only causes deforestation, but also increases uncontrolled discharge of municipal wastes. Most Indian cities have about 40% population, which leads to deteriorating their life quality and poor health services and flourishing of communicable disease. These areas lack basic amenities and are disease prone. Okay, as such, the downtrodden areas of cities are prime source of infectious diseases. Urban association across allergy, autoimmune, inflammatory, lifestyle, and infectious disease categories. Okay, so after discussing all those points, let's little bit discuss about environmental health. Okay, so the environment is all external conditions. Okay, circumstances that influences surrounding and affects the growth and development of an organism or community of organisms. Environment health includes the well-being of following components. First, when you talk about physical components of the environment, it means you're talking about air, water, soil, housing, climate, geography, heat, light, noise, debris, radiation, etc. Second component, and very important one, biological. Yes, that covers man, viruses, microbial agents, insects, rodents, animals, and plants, etc. Third important point, psychosocial. That includes cultural values, customs, beliefs, habitats, habits, attitudes, morals, religion, education, lifestyles, community life, health services, social and political organization. All these factors ultimately influence environmental health. The representation you see on the screen basically is an exposure. Okay, it is the sum of all the factors our body is exposed to. Numerous parameters plays a role from what we eat and do our experiences to where we live and work. Okay, so let's conclude first part of my talk. So there is an increases in incidence rates of new cases of the cancer and several diseases resulting from exposure to a harmful substances in the environment. As such, clean and green environment is the life of life. I'm repeating, as such, clean and green environment is the life of life. A time to take corrective steps is still there if taken care of. Okay, so a sustainable development is the only solution to save human life and health. Thank you.